on Sports!
Good evening. Good evening. The sun is glaring on my face. If I took my hat off, it'd be shining so you could not see me right now. But we're here tonight with our third episode of Bitter Men on Sports. I'm here with Chris Billy Joe Fletcher, Gary Jethreen Kin, and Dave Ginger Finoli. Who are you guys tonight?
Well, I always preferred Ginger to Mary Ann, so I just want you to know. So.
Me too.
You know, I was a Mary Ann person, but, you know, sometimes Ginger was okay. Sometimes she was.
Well, you know my history with redheads, so.
We do. That's the subject of next week's Bitter Men. Chris Fletcher and redheads. So we will have one as a guest. You won't know who it is till the episode.
Oh, looking forward to that.
We're going to reality TV, I see.
We are. Oh, I had a wonderful day today. I got to watch, binge watch Larry Sanders and Arliss.
Wow.
So those are two of my all-time favorite series.
Yeah.
You can never get enough Gary Shanley. I know you agree with that, Gary.
I mean, I liked him. I did. I absolutely did. So
Is one of those busts up there behind there, Gary Shandling bust?
No, I don't have one of those. I'm still looking for it. If you can help me with one, I'll put it up there. So.
eBay's a wonderful thing, you know.
Yep, I got to get back on it some of the time. Correct.
I know. You know, I'm actually, you guys are going to love this segue. Are you ready?
I'm
ready.
I'm waiting.
Okay. I'm going on because I want to collect starting lineup dolls of every Pirate that has been injured this year.
You mean action figures? But I just need to correct you on that one.
Did I say doll? Did I say doll?
Action
You
figure.
did, and that's kind of a sacrilege for the three of us here.
Oh, please.
Some people would
That
know
damn
that's
Viv's in my head. You're in my head, Viv.
That's right.
Oh, man. So I'm going to give you a list of people as we talk about the Pirates at the quarter pole, which I believe your wife, Gary, would protest that because the quarter pole, if I'm not mistaken, in horse racing is the end.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. But we're going to use it to our benefit today, so I apologize for me. But we're at the quarter mark of the Pirates' early season, and this is the list of injuries that have been on the team. Nick Birdie will be out till the middle of July. Francisco the China Doll Cervelli, who got a ball bounced into his chest yesterday, and as predicted, I was there last night, and as predicted, he is now being a day-to-day guy.
Was he lying on the ground writhing when that happened, or did he skip that this time?
He skipped it, but he put his arm around the trainer as he was attended to. So there was still some drama in it. With Lonnie Chisenhall. Oh, well, wait a minute. The Busher of the Week.
I have a real Busher of the Week later, and Fletch, you'll have to pull that out. But
All right.
one later.
All right. I like it.
Yes.
I like it. We have
you
Lonnie
guys will agree with me.
Well, we're looking forward. You haven't had a Busher yet, Gary.
Yep.
You haven't had a Busher yet.
I got a big one this week.
Could we say he's a Busher virgin?
We could.
We can say that. I honestly think he's
Busher cherry tonight.
I have a prop too I think for certain Bushers of the week we're going to take it an extra step, but I'll break that out later.
All right.
I'm a little afraid. I'm not going to tell you, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah, well, I didn't clear it with you first as the host here.
That's where the intrigue comes in. You don't have to, man. That's the intrigue of it all. But we have Lonnie Chisenhall, who spends more time on a disabled list than he does on a bench. Corey Dickerson, who was supposed to be out for a week, and that week has turned into 2 months so far. Eric, I got it, Gonzalez, who broke his collarbone, if I'm not mistaken. Jung Ho, who was on what I like to refer to, I'm in a slump, so I'm hurt list. Kella, who was certainly giving up a lot of home runs before he was on. He looks like he's going to be on a little further. Chad Cole, of course, looks like he will be out all season. Gregory Polanco, who was out at the beginning of the season because of one of the great slides. I wish we had access to instant replay here. You know, fellas, I feel like we're in the 1950s, where we just have to describe things without access to instant replay. So we'll figure that out at some point. Gregory Polanco had discomfort in his finger. So he's out. He's potentially back on the disabled list. You had Marte on a 10-day at some point in time of the season. Edgar Santana, who was a good, solid middle reliever last year, is out with Tommy John surgery. Tyon, we don't know what's wrong with him. I mean, they're claiming flexor strain, but you hear rumors every so often it could be a season ender. But right now he's through the middle of July. And Trevor Williams, who hurt his right side while swinging, which kind of renewed last night. Somebody brought up, well, should there be a DH now? Because you could get hurt batting. And, you know, while I despise philosophically the DH, I kind of look at it and think to myself, well, you know, that's actually an argument that makes some sense. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But on baseballreference.com, you have Pythagorean theory, how many wins you should have based on run differential. At the end of the season, if you see a 5 or 6 win differential, that's a lot. Right now, my friends, the Pirates have a 7 victory differential, not 5 run, but 5 victory differential. According to this, they are supposed to be 17 and 28 at this point instead of 24 and 21. That's pretty big. And, you know, as much as we want to complain about what Huntington has done and what we want to complain about our owner, right now this team is fun to watch. Right now he's put together, he's made some great trades. He's made a pitching staff that even with these injuries and even with us knowing that there's not much down on the farm, they've put together things that have worked. Francisco Cervelli getting hurt. Francisco Cervelli is having a horrid season. To me, he is the one we should complain about having the biggest waste of money. Mm-hmm. At 179, Diaz is not only a better hitter, not only has more pop, but he has a better arm. I mean, theoretically, the only thing you have if you are Francisco Cervelli is your frame pitches better and you probably call a better game. But is it worth that to really take Diaz out of the lineup? I don't think so. I would put Diaz as your everyday catcher now. Josh Bell is having an amazing year. You apologized last week, and he responded with 5 home runs and 17 RBIs on an 11-game trip. Adam,
I know how to motivate, Dave. I know how to motivate.
You are the Chuck Noll of this show. I'm going to tell you. Adam Frazier is just starting to come on. I think he's potentially a good leadoff hitter. I think he gets on base nicely. He's going to be near a 300 hitter by the end of the year. He got up to a little slump. I think he's around 259 right now. Cole Tucker, he's struggling, but I keep him in there. He plays the best defensive shortstop that you have. Let him work through the struggles. That's the position you can afford to struggle a little bit and have the defense. And he shows potential to get out of that, and he will be a good shortstop. I like what I see so far. He just needs to work himself out of there. Moran, we saw last night what sometimes hurts this team, which is, I mean, he made a bonehead play at run down at third that cost him the first run of the game. Archer could have gotten out of this with a nice start because you got that. And if I'm not mistaken, tell me if I'm wrong, but it appeared to me from where I was sitting at the stadium that the ball hit off Reynolds' hand into the over the fence. Is that how it was? It looked like he should have.
It looked like that to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's 2 runs. So
on the highlights.
It wasn't a horrible start. I thought it was more an unlucky start. Reynolds has to me, made the McCutcheon trade at this point a slam dunk victory. I mean, he is playing better than McCutcheon is now. If I'm not mistaken, Gary, he's about 240 with 6 homers in Philly.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. I had to look at 243, 6 home runs. Yeah, a lot of strikeouts. He's on 165 strikeout, 170 strikeout base.
And that's a shame. And I think he's played well. I think Marte. Now, I got to admit, I was off getting ice cream last night because, on a 50-degree day, what do you want but a sundae, okay? And I got in a little Pirate Cup, but I left the Pirate Cup there, a little Pirate helmet. You remember those? You're looking for one in your room, aren't you, Fletch?
I know it's here somewhere. I can't find it.
Okay. Stupidly, I left it there.
I want the mustard yellow one, not the black one.
Oh, that'd be clutch. I'd be getting Sundays all the time. But I missed that. Viv tells me that Marte made a little bit of a bonehead dive where the ball was nowhere near him. Is that pretty much
the way the highlights look? Yeah. He kind of like he was fishing for the ball.
That's a hard luck start. 3 plays that could have made that a lot closer game. And Melky Cabrera, I mean, he hasn't been an embarrassment in right field. He's been kind of good at times. And, I mean, he's hitting, what was he hitting, 320, 338? 338. So, again, that's a heck of a pickup. And the great thing about this team, Newman has also been like a guy who, under the radar, has hit very well in 50 at-bats. He was in the 330, 340 range last night. And I think he's a good defensive second baseman. So when the injuries stop happening, what's going to happen is this team, to me, might contend for a wild card spot because all of a sudden this no depth you had at the beginning of the season, you got some depth now. Chisenhall, who I would not put in I would not put him in the starting lineup if he gets in before Dickerson, although I think Dickerson's due back. But Chisenhall might be the one I might think about designating for assignment at this point, because why would you send Reynolds down, who's done nothing but be impressive up here? Tonight we're going to go with the starter role, which worked well in San Diego. But the bullpen is kind of filtered out. You sent Rodriguez down to Indianapolis. And if I'm not mistaken, he gave up the home run to tie the game today, although they won and he was a winner. I'm not sure what's going down there, but you'll have Broekman in the second. Durapo, I like the name. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right.
Soap opera name.
What is it? Soap opera.
Montana Durapo or something like Montana Durapo? Yeah.
Oh, he's pitched. He's had good success in the minors. Good success in his first couple outings here. Hopefully he'll have good success here. And it seems to work. I mean, you go down. I think Archer will come back, except for one inning. Musgrove has pitched well. And quite frankly, Jordan Lyles has been the best pickup they've had in a couple of years, leading the league in ERA and strikeouts. So, gentlemen, I was claiming this was an 84, 85 win team at best at the beginning of the year, more likely 82, 83. Looking at what they've done so far, Juwan Howard is the Michigan head basketball coach, by the by.
Yeah,
saw that.
Usually I'm a guy who likes more experience in running a program there, but it's an interesting one. But I think this could be an 87, 88 win team if the injuries kind of subside. What say you, Mr. Fletcher?
Well, here's the thing. The fact that this team is only 3.5 games out of first place, and they're currently sitting in the second wild card position right now is just astounding. You mentioned it, Dave, but you have 2 starters in Cervelli and Tucker who are you're hitting under 200. So that's 1/4 of your position players hitting under 200. Their run differential is atrocious. They're sort of like, I guess you could almost look at them like that 1960 Pirate team against the Yankees. When they lose big. I mean, they're getting blown out at least once or twice a week, but they're also winning.
Can I do a quick segue, Chris?
Go.
They lose like the Steagles. The Steagles lose.
Nice.
1943. Yeah.
All right.
Right? Yeah.
Go
And-
ahead, Chris.
I was at Giant Eagle today, and I was in the milk section, and I did see Lonnie Chisenhall's picture on a milk carton today. So I don't know, but things are looking up. I hear that that Dickerson played in a simulated game today and actually started throwing to bases. So that's a good sign. Yeah, this team is you can't figure them out. And you know that Gregory Polanco and Starling Marte, they seem to be good for at least one base running gaff per game. You know, it's just I don't understand how things that we all learned in Pony League, they're still making those mistakes. But you know, you mentioned the injuries. Chris Archer had a bad thumb and he missed time. Probably the more unfortunate part is that he came back after that. Yes, that trade is not – you mentioned the other trade's looking good. That one is not looking good right now. I'm not as confident that he's going to bounce back as you are, Dave. I think that, you know, he's getting the ball up a lot. He's giving up a lot of home runs. And they're not cheap home runs that he's given up either. They're not like, oh, I wonder if this is going to clear the fence. They're a few rows back. You know, there's really nothing there. And the Birdie injury, that was just ugly to watch. I haven't really heard what that is at this point, but you know, hopefully he's going to be able to avoid surgery. But yeah, this team is doing it with smoke and mirrors. I think if this team finishes anywhere near 500, how can you not give Hurdle some recognition as skipper of the year? I mean, he's really held this together. I know we all criticize him for his quick hook, especially with when you have a pitcher who's sailing through on 75 pitches through 7 innings and you yank him, you know, that's enough to drive you crazy. Yeah. But, you know, I think part of it too is that we all have to get used to baseball being played a different way.
Yep.
I used to love the running game. I used to love my workhorses out there, 200, 300 innings, you know, Mickey Lolich, who would, you know, he could probably still pitch right now and pull down 200 innings. But that game's gone. And we have to sort of adapt like a lot of the league is. You know, you mentioned they're going to do that starter thing tonight. Given what they have, I don't think it's a bad idea. You know, just some other observations about baseball so far this year at that quarter turn. I think Houston is by far the best team in baseball. And here's the scary thing. They've got more talent in the minors that's waiting to come up. So they're going to get even better toward the end of the year. Boston, after a really horrendous start, but they were 6-13 when they started. They really seem to have righted the ship. You mentioned the Pirates injuries. How about the Yankees? 13 players on the IL, which, by the way, guys, I'm having a hard time not calling it disabled list. But apparently the political correctness was that it is now the injured list.
You know what, Fletch? In this show, the rule has been the disabled list because we've dealt with it for 99% of our lives. So we have.
All right, I'm going to say disabled list.
Okay, I don't want to ever hear injured list on here.
I think the Twins could make some noise this year, which is nice to see. I think it's a good baseball city. The Dodgers are running away with the West. Gary, that's got to make you happy. Kershaw's back, although he's not his former self. He's pretty damn good. Yep. And the Marlins, they're 1962 Mets bad. I really think that's an awful, awful team. But here's the other thing we forgot about the Pirates, and this amazes me. They have the best road record in baseball right now.
Yeah. Well, what is it, 13 wins?
15? I think they're 15 wins, yeah.
15 wins, yeah.
They're under 500 at home, but they're winning on the road.
Wow. That's amazing.
So what do you think, Gary?
I mean, you know, you guys have touched on a lot of things I think about. I mean, I'm more concerned a little bit about the Talion injury. I mean, he's kind of looks to me like he could be a horse, and if he's out for an extended period of time, that could be a big issue. I mean, to me, you know, I think the injury that Williams suffered when he was batting, and he's probably out for a couple weeks, but he'll come back. I don't actually mind that, as you alluded to, Fletch. You know, with the way baseball is played today, these guys just aren't conditioned to pitch 250 innings anymore.
No.
So if they're out a couple weeks and they miss 3 starts, in the long run, with the way it is and with the wild card and everything, that's probably not a bad thing. But I mean, you know, if everybody comes back, all of a sudden you got an abundance of riches too. You know, particularly in the outfield. I mean, think of it. I mean, Chisenhall can play with being out all the time, and nobody knows what's wrong with him, and he's been out the whole season, he's probably not going to have much market value. But some of these guys could, and I certainly wouldn't move Reynolds either, Dave. I mean, to me, the kid's an exciting kid. He's been even a lot better than the Tucker, even though Tucker's much more highly regarded. I mean, Reynolds looks like he's the real deal to me. He can play the outfield. He runs the bases pretty well.
Has some pump.
I mean, he's got a stick for me, and he's not going back. So, I mean, I think, but if Dickerson comes back, and one of those guys, Dickerson or Chiserall, comes in and they're hitting a little bit, they could bring you something. They could bring you something else that you might need. So, it's funny, I'm not out there like you guys, and Huntington takes his share of criticism, but similar to what Tampa's done, under the radar, he's assembled a pretty good roster here that's pretty deep.
Oh, he has.
A lot of positions.
Without a doubt.
So, I mean, and I think the point that you made, Fletch, that division, although it has, I think, 4 pretty good teams in it.
It does.
In St. Louis, Chicago, Milwaukee, and I think Pittsburgh as well, it's a winnable division. I mean, the Cubs have been a surprise the other way. I think a lot of people thought they would take a step back, and they've been pretty damn good because the starting pitching's been very, very good to start the season, and Bryant's rebounded. Milwaukee has maybe the best player right now in baseball in Yelich, but certainly Bella's on a par with him through the first, third of the season here. So, I mean, I got to feel pretty good for all the reasons you guys described. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen enough of them because I don't live there anymore, but I think it is time to – Cervelli's the backup, even if he comes back. Let's see what Diaz can do. Similar to what you say about a Tucker, he doesn't have to hit, 300, doesn't have to hit 20 home runs in that position. He's just got to catch well. He's got to handle the pitch. He's got to throw some guys out on the bases.
Well, and like you talk about Chisenhall. He can play first base and third base, so maybe he becomes your infield, and Jung Ho is bye-bye.
I mean, somebody is going to have to go, and clearly, Kong. That's got to be one of the most maddening things out there ever. Because, boy, when he looked like he was going well, he looked awesome. He hit the ball a mile out of the park. Not a great fielder, but, here he is starting off again with 160 or something like that. And, I mean, not many more chances for me. I mean, it's amazing they gave him the chances they did with all the off-the-field problems. He continues to be this poor. He's going to have to go. But, yes, Chisenhall can play third or first. If he comes back or Dickerson comes back, one of those two, if they're hitting and they're playing well, may bring something that you're going to need.
Yeah.
Which may be another arm, another starting pitcher. I mean, Vasquez, Liriano, and Crick have been sensational. Some of the other guys have been awful, but that's pretty much baseball this day and age. And I think I still feel pretty good. I think the trade looks bad right now because Meadows looks like an MVP candidate. He was a high draft pick everybody knew he was going to be. And Glasnow, as you said, Dave, that was the most impressive arm you had seen in the minors in a long time.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like a steal now. I think, to me, the problem in Archer, just to me, and I'm not there, but it's just in his head. If you throw that many innings and you're that size, you're going to have to learn to pitch a little bit.
Yes.
Stop trying to throw the ball by somebody all the time.
Right.
It's a pitcher's park, and he may not be that pitcher anymore. So we won't know if he's not a guy that's going to listen, but that's what I see. He's given up, He's given up a home run every, pretty much he's given up a home run every start.
Every start. In fact, he's
given up 6 in, I think, 56 innings or something like that the last time I looked, right? Something like that.
Well, he's giving up for 9 innings, 1.8, which from Stratomatic, that is a horrific.
Too many. And I want to see him pitch a little bit more than he's been. Now, he's never been that. He was kind of a medium-sized guy with rare back, and he had those great breaking balls and sliders. He may not be that anymore.
He's not hitting the corners. That's one.
Well, that's the problem.
We're laying off. Yeah.
Well, I hope that whoever the pitching staff out there, or the pitching coach out there, and Hurdle and those guys, I hope they talk to him a little bit, and I hope maybe he considers pitching a little bit. He's my biggest concern, I think, going forward. But overall, I feel pretty good. Overall baseball, Fletch, I don't have much to add to what you said. I mean, I think Philadelphia, to me, is probably, a postseason team. I'm still concerned a little bit about the late bullpen, although this guy Neris has been pretty good in the first. Their arms that they counted on, Nola and Arrieta, they're not good. They're giving up a ton of home runs so far through the first 54 games, and maybe the league's adjusted a little bit, in particular Nola. We'll see. I mean, you talk about strikeouts and how we hate that in the modern game. Look at that. I mean, they got I think Hoskins, although a fine player, I think, is on pace for about 190. Harper's over 200. These guys are trying to hit the ball out of the park all the time in this junky little ballpark they built there. That can't continue. The Phillies really can't play small ball. They go the same way the Pirates' losses do. They kill you or they get killed.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you can win consistently that way. I mean, right now I'd have to say probably what I see is the Dodgers, and I agree, Houston probably the best teams in baseball. But I think the AL East race, it's going to be one hell of a kick down the stretch if you have Boston climb back in it and the Yankees get all these guys back. And I think Boone has done the same kind of job, maybe the best job in baseball, because their 12 losses have been pretty significant losses that have been out.
They have been.
Judge, Sanchez, and these guys have filled in great. This Urshela, who was, I guess, with the Indians for a while. I mean, and they really – Boone has done a fantastic job.
He has, but they have a lot more resources to look at.
They do.
Than what Hurdle has.
Right.
So,
they do. No question.
Yeah.
No question. But that race, I don't think Tampa's going away. I honestly do not think they're going away. They got a bunch of no-names. They play pretty good up the middle defense. Cash seems to have those guys here. And, you talk about the way the game's changed. I don't love this opener idea, but when you go through a situation like the Pirates are going through now, with the way these guys are conditioned from, age 13 on up, that opener idea against certain teams can work because, you get the lead. All of a sudden the game changes through the fourth inning now, much earlier than it used to. So I think Tampa's there. Stanek has been – everybody hates that, I think. That's a purist, maybe like some of us. But in Stanek's 12 starts, I think he's had – I was reading something the other day. I think he's only given up runs in one of them.
Wow.
I think it was 3 in one of those starts. The other 11 times, he's gotten through the first or second inning completely unscathed.
Can I tell you something, Dave?
Tampa doing that.
Can I tell you something?
Doing it against certain teams. So it doesn't bother me. I don't love it. It doesn't bother me. It's the way the game's going to change.
You start about talking about your starters. In 1989, and we're all strat guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I was in a World Series where I had a couple pitchers hurt against Bill Rainier, the Catfish, who we were hoping to get on tonight. And I started doing that by pitching my 3 best relievers through the damn series, and I won in 5 games. I forget what series we were playing, but I was a huge underdog. And it was his season that we were playing the end to. So he's a little irritated that I was using that concept. But 30 years later, they're using my idea.
Yes,
Okay?
they are.
Were you using the super advanced version with the innings and all the fatigue and all that stuff? Or
Oh, yeah. We were using super advanced.
Okay.
So, but I figured they were my best
Stole
pitchers.
your idea. They stole your idea.
It was my idea. How come you never see that in the press that the starter as concocted by Dave Cannoli?
Well, we may now, since we're going on YouTube. It may all of a sudden you may become viral there.
Well, here's the thing, Dave. That's going to get you in the Hall of Fame. That when you pay your $20 entry fee. That's how you're getting in, buddy.
Hey, I still have the floppy disk somewhere. The old floppy disk of the 71 strat game.
Oh, yes. I had the 79 that way.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Guys, this is going to sound ridiculous, but I think that Tucker's hitting a lot better than one. He's hitting a hard 180. The balls that he's hitting,
what I've seen,
he's not getting a lot of luck.
Yeah.
So that's good. But, Dave, you brought something up earlier. I want to knock around with you guys. The DH. I've always been against it. But here's the thing. We're at a point now where I still think it makes no sense to have leagues with 2 different rules.
Would agree.
So, and that the Players Association is never going to let that position go. It's a high-paying position. I think it's probably time. And it pains me to say that, but I think it's time.
Yeah, I would. And you know what? We got what could be the perfect DH in Indianapolis and Will Craig, a former first-round pick who might not be the best defensive player around, but you know what? He's got some nice pop in his bat, and he's improved every year. So I would agree, and it kills me because I'm
with you.
I love the strategy of the pitcher at bat.
Well,
I think of this. You would have lost you would have lost the greatest game any player's ever played, and that's the game that Rick Wise not only pitched a no-hitter, but he hit 2 home runs. Greatest game ever.
Yeah,
by a player.
Yeah.
I think it's a little colder, guys, actually, than even the feel of it. I think it's going to come down to business. I mean, if you think about the upcoming negotiation is not going to be easy with all that's happened in the off seasons. And that union's still fairly strong. It's not as strong as it was under Fair, but Clark does have them pretty galvanized, I think. I think it's going to come down to simply this. I mean, particularly if you have expansion, you're going to have 16 teams in a league. And as you say, Chris, that's a highly paid position. That's also a name recognition for some franchises that don't have any right now, and there's a lot of them. I hate to say it, Tampa, Miami, Kansas City, Chicago White Sox. Like that position is a guy that can put some butts in the seats and sell some revenue on the advertising side because he can hit. I think that as the owners put their heads together and they talk with, Manfred, and they get ready for the negotiation that's coming up, which is both hockey and baseball are going to be pretty ugly for different reasons, I think. But I think that's going to be an easy giveaway.
Yeah.
Hate to say it. And I think that's one that I think the owners are going to give on pretty easy. Players are going to push for that because, they all think they're going to get the next Harper deal or Machado deal. They're not, but that fallacy's been going on for years. I think it's going to come down to that pure business. That's an easy one to give away to get some other things that I want.
Yeah.
I think the problem I have, and I can't say it so much with the Pirates that I've seen, but a couple guys here, like this guy Vasquez, I mean, he looks like he doesn't even want to stand in there. Like, that's just not good from a marketing standpoint. Like, a casual fan, like, you show a 10-year-old kid, he's like, does this guy want to hit or not? Like, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, you're in the lineup, make a contribution. How hard is it to work on bunting or to try to make yourself a better hitter like a few pitchers have done? But some of these guys don't take it seriously at all, and there seems to be no penalty for it. So it's continuing to make the argument in an entertainment-driven world that this is ridiculous. I mean, what's the point here? So that's a part of this too, unfortunately, I think.
No, I would agree with you, and I do think it's something that is going to happen, and it is going to happen within the next 2 years. They've already basically kind of pinpointed either 21 or 22 is when they will put the DH in. But quickly, we're going to do a real quick win. How many wins are we going to predict for the Pirates? I'm going to say 87. Fletch?
84.
Gary?
I think I'm going to qualify it. If Archer turns the corner a little bit, I was going to say 88. And I think it'll be a race all the way to the end with the Cubs and Brewers.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Well, we had a nice little boxing thing this weekend. The knockout by Wilder in the heavyweight division has gotten a lot of press. It was an exciting moment that got me pumped up to watch it, and certainly it's getting press in just about every place that it hasn't been getting press lately. So, Gary, why don't you tell us about the week in combat sports?
I mean, really, that's the biggest thing to talk about this week, I think. I mean, Dana White's organization had a show in Rochester, but it was not a big time one. So there's really not a lot to talk about there. I think what I keep hoping for, and we keep hoping for this in boxing and combat sports all the time, particularly in boxing because all the dueling interests. Love or hate Wilder, and there's not a lot of middle ground on him, gentlemen. I mean, some people love him. I think he's a tough out at 6'7", 225 pounds, former football and basketball player. He's a tough guy to deal with when he's right. I don't think that opponent was in the echelon that he's in, but Wilder did what he said he was going to do. He finished him quickly, and in a crowded sports style, you need that for those big guys. I just hope that they don't continue to let the momentum fade here. Anthony Joshua is going to fight on June the 1st on DAZN against Andy Ruiz. Ruiz is a good fighter, but he's nowhere near the same league as Joshua. Joshua is a gold medal winner. He's a big-time athlete, 6'6", 250 himself. I'm hoping that his promoter, Eddie Hearn in Britain, and I'm hoping that Al Heyman, who promotes Premier Boxing Champions, promotes Wilder, find a way to make a deal. Because I honestly think it'd be one hell of a fight. I think they both bring something to it. Joshua has a chin. He can go down. Wilder's been hurt in his career. And Wilder probably lost to Tyson Fury, who's another big guy out there who, not the most exciting, and I have more power than he does, but he's a very tough out because he's a very good boxer and he's 6'9". These three guys all have a personality that could make this interesting again. It's not going to be Ali, Norton, Frazier, whatever. I just hope the business side with it, Dave, can get it together and get these guys in there with each other over the next couple of years. I'm cautiously optimistic, but then there's always something that gives me some skepticism. But I do think Wilder's knockout was impressive. It was seen by a lot of people, which, again, nobody cares about boxing. Baloney. Viewership was high. Wilder's got a lot of good things about him. So, I think it'll be interesting to see what Joshua does. He tries to emulate against Ruiz. I don't think it's going to be as easy. Ruiz isn't a body beautiful, but he's a very good boxer. He was a decorated amateur himself in Mexico. They fight on June 1st. I think Joshua's going to have a tougher time. Because Joshua can make money fighting me in the UK, he has a tougher time against Ruiz, which I'm hoping for. It may cause the business model to get them together quicker because he may lose some momentum even over in the UK. So that would be my view of what happened in combat sports over the weekend.
Okay, very good. I know you're going to be excited at this one, and actually I'm being serious. I've been going back and forth with a gentleman named Douglas Kavanaugh. He runs the Pittsburgh boxing history page on Facebook. He's a tremendous boxing historian. Somehow he got to know Roy McHugh, who was a legendary
one of the best sports writers ever, in Pittsburgh especially.
And he's just an incredible boxing guru. And he had put together this tremendous book on the history of boxing in Pittsburgh and some incredible short stories. I guess he wrote it a long time ago. He died, what was he, 102, 103?
Yeah, a long time. Yeah.
Yep. So he had this, and I guess he became friends with Douglas, and he's been going through me we've been trying to sell it. I've been a little unsuccessful because of the length of the book. It's 122,000 words. It's a beast.
Oh my goodness.
It's captivating. Every story keeps you on your edge. So we're going to do it through Amazon. I'm gonna design it for him with the experience I have, but the decision was made not to touch a thing of what he did, not to try to. So it's going to be a beast. So we'll have more on it. I'm going to try to get him on the show in a couple of weeks to talk about the book. But this would, to me, this is just a thrilling thing. I mean, this book is going to give you glimpses. I had no idea. I used to think I was a good boxing historian, but I'm a first grader compared to him and compared to you, Gary.
How far does he go back, Dave, may I ask? How does he go back?
Back to 1800.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
So
wow.
McHugh is like, I mean, you guys are going to love this, and it's going to be exciting. And the people who are passed on it because of the length and because boxing isn't a thrilling sport anymore, which I tend to agree with you, Gary, it is. They're going to be sorry they passed on this one because it's going to be a hell of an effort. So
that sounds like a couple volumes, Dave. It doesn't sound like one book. That sounds like a 2 or 3 volume set.
It's a beast. It's a beast. We're going to see what it looks like after that. That could be an option down the road, but it's just everything I've read. I mean, if I'm an editor, I don't touch it because it's that good.
It's a time machine.
What he's done.
Yeah, time machine. Interesting.
Well, Mr. Fletcher, you have some news.
I have one other thing. I didn't mean to interrupt, Chris. Just one more thing. There is some interesting news, though, and that is the Pacquiao is ancient, but he's still a name, and he's going to be fighting Keith Thurman, who's one of the best welterweights out there, and they actually made the deal. It's signed for July 20th. I should throw that in there. That was recently announced. I don't think Pacquiao will win, but that's actually a pretty entertaining fight. Thurman's been injured, and Pacquiao's still a world-class fighter. And I'm sorry to interrupt, Chris.
Not a problem. We look forward to that. That's a good announcement.
July 20th.
There we go.
I always enjoy watching Pacquiao fight.
He's an exciting fighter still, even at 41. He very much is. Yep.
Yeah.
All-time great.
Mm-hmm. All right. From the NFL.
Yeah, surprising news came out today, fellas. NFL spearheaded some change. They're trying to change how the game is taught. So they're trying to look at player safety. And today, the league and the coaches came together and they decided that they were going to be eliminating 3 pretty iconic drills prior to the start of the 2019 training camps. Multiple sources are saying that the NFL decided that the Oklahoma drill, the bull in the ring, you might have called it king of the circle, whatever you want to call it, and that half line drill, they're no longer going to be part of practices moving forward. That decision was, like I said, it included the coaches and league officials. Easily, probably the most iconic of those drills is the Oklahoma drill. That was the one that Bud Wilkerson at Oklahoma developed. Basically, you would have 2 linemen with a running back behind him, and the defender would try to tackle the running back. It was basically a meat grinder. Tradition. It was the thing that Dave, you would go to training camp, and that was one of the drills that everyone got excited for that one. The half line drill is kind of self-explanatory, and only half of the offensive and defensive linemen are on the field. That helps the players really learn how to pick up some blocks. And for the running backs, it's a benefit because they can see where the holes are pretty quickly, and they can get some training in that area. And then the third one is that bull in the ring. You get 2 players, and usually what happens is it's guys that are competing for a position. They put them in basically, it's almost like a sumo wrestling thing. Yeah. They put them in the circle, and one tries to knock the shit out of the other one and get them out of the ring. Right. Basically is what happened. But all those are gone. I think a lot of people are going to see that as yet another incident of the league losing some toughness. But guys, I don't think it is. I mean, I think they're being smart here. One of the things that we're seeing is a lot of young players are not playing the game anymore, and a lot of that's being driven by their parents, particularly, not to get sexist here, but it's a lot of worrying moms. They've seen what's happened. They don't want their kids playing, so I think they're trying to do a little trickle down on this one. Now, the other thing that the league did today, which they made this claim that concussions are down by 24% since all this stuff that they've been doing. Well, you know what? You don't know that. You can't tell when somebody has a concussion. So that I think they should have just left it where it was. Say, here, we're making these changes. We think that we're doing what's responsible and go from there. Guys, working with the startup that I'm with RC21X, where we're doing a lot of testing with former NFL players. I've seen firsthand how these guys, how the league has treated these guys, and how the sport has treated these guys as they've aged. We have one of the tests that we give them is we show them 5 shapes. They have to put those shapes back in the order that they saw them as fast as they can. For the guys who are most messed up, they can't do it. They go 0 for 5. Yeah, these same guys still remember some details from a game that they might have played 20 years ago, but their short-term memory is shot. I think this is a positive step for the NFL. I think that they are becoming more safety conscious. There's still some more things that they can do, but I think that at some point, guys, you got to look at the 3-point stance, and that may have to go away. And I know it's a part of the game, but every time a lineman fires up, there's contact to the head, and that's not good. But I thought today was, like I said, I thought that was a very positive thing. We'll see how it goes from there. But the thing that I'm looking for to happen is that's going to trickle down to the college level, then to high school level, then to Pee Wee, that we get rid of those drills. Well,
I mean, and people, the hard asses, so to speak, might criticize this, but Chris, if I'm not mistaken, youth football participation is down significant.
It is. It's going down at least 8% a year. Wow. The past few years, and that's just not a sustainable model.
No, because eventually that's going to catch up to the pro level and hurt the game significantly if they don't make these moves. So I agree with you. I think that's some great news from the NFL.
I mean, I don't think all the 8% is just due to these issues, but I think these issues are a big part of it. I mean,
well, I think it's a big contributor. Certainly, I mean, there are other sports that kids are playing. Yep. It's also not an inexpensive game to play either. So, I mean, there's a lot of factors, but more and more you're hearing parents saying, let's have them play something else.
I mean, Fletch, I'm 100% with you. You called this. You talked about this, I think, on one of the podcasts we did. And it's interesting. A lot of the guys that had the most trouble, and particularly in the Steelers organization, are linemen. Are getting hit in the head all the time with these drills by huge men, strong young men. So, sometimes you got to please people from themselves. Figure out who the best tackle is without some of these drills. I got no problem with it. I think it's a step in the right direction. And I don't think this one's just PR, like the 24% concussions down is. I think this one's real.
I agree.
Enough evidence on this one that this one's real. And there's other ways to determine who the better linemen or better players are, who has more will, than having guys bash their heads against each other for 10 minutes.
Right.
To me.
Now, one sport I think might take it. I saw this on Facebook today. It was a Russian sport where guys, they get at a table, hold the line, and they slap each other as hard as they can. That's where some of these kids could go. In fact, my grandson, River, I'm going to suggest that highly to his parents, that they get him in, I think he's in the Kiski school area. But they're going to get him with the Kiski slap team.
No, maybe we'll get a scholarship.
Well, I'm hoping Duquesne, that's their next maneuver. I wanted lacrosse, but the slap team might be a better maneuver. But, Gary, what shirt are you wearing there today?
I'm thinking about hockey a lot because I'm enthused by this Blues run, so I got the Pittsburgh Hornets today.
Which is ironically the hat, and you got the Buck shirt. That was
a throwback on that.
70-71.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
But I went for the Hornets hat. The irony of it.
See, great minds think alike, right?
I'll tell you.
So,
well,
my
guys,
pusher of the week pertains to the Bucks series.
Oh, here we go.
Now we'll wait until later.
You want to wait till the end on that? That's going to be the ending of the show.
Your show, Dave. You tell me when it's time. So.
Ending of the show.
Yeah.
I was going to talk today about the Preakness. More Will winning it, and certainly to me, he could be going for a triple crown now because he was the one most affected by maximum security's foul. He was on his way to the lead, and that had to have cost him 5 or 6 lengths at that point.
Yep.
It was exciting from Bod Express, who bumped his rider, the other horse that was affected by maximum security's bump. Riding the race without a jockey, and had he won that, maybe the jockey would be eliminated from horse.
Is he still running, or did they finally get him to stop?
Yeah.
He ran the whole thing.
He ran another lap after that, too. He just kept going.
One of the funniest damn things I've ever seen, honest to God.
Oh, but that was fun. Then I was going to talk about Kupka and his 4th major victory. You called it. No, you didn't.
I did not.
You did not. My cousin Fran, I got to tell you, chuckled. He chuckled at your prediction. He heard it after the PGA.
Well, you know what? I did call the number 2. I did call Dustin Johnson, who now has a second place Grand Slam for all of the things. So any major always bet him to finish second.
He finished first in life, didn't he?
He did.
Okay. Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
You got to be ballsy to predict that. That is so close. Those guys are. You got to really know what you're talking about or really have big ones.
Well, he paid. A friend of mine won $130 on a $10 bet on that one, so at the casino. But it was almost the greatest choke of all time, too, because a 7-stroke lead was close to going away.
Yep.
But tonight, gentlemen, it's about the Steelers. I wanted it to go away. I didn't want to talk about it, but I keep getting drawn back in.
It's Godfather 3. Godfather 3.
I know. It was nice that Ben said, I'm sorry, even though I'm sure most of it was bullshit, because I'm sure he doesn't want to pursue a friendship one day with AB as he claims to. But because of that, it was all over. Nobody was talking about it. Then Juju comes up and he takes a funny shot. I don't care if I catch five passes for 30 yards. I just want to hit. Obviously, that was a shot at AB. And then Mark Caboli talks about it.
Who?
Mark Caboli. He's the athletic. He used to cover for the Trib, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he did.
But he's a bit of a heavy-set guy. So Bud Dupree comes on today, which just gets everything a-buzzing again. Here you go. Tryna, 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 start beef, fat boy. Leave the past alone. And call him fat boy. So, Mark Caponi's response to him is classic, though. For future reference, I prefer fat ass. Thank you.
Good for him.
So while I wanted to go away, while I didn't think the whole Ben apologizing was a bright idea because we'd already were on our way to forgetting things, and this kind of brought it all up again. Although I'm sure it was the process was to make Brown look bad, which it did, because Brown, of course, shot back Two-Face, which apparently is a Batman criminal, which I must have missed. I didn't think Frank Fortune played that one. But it's back again. It's going to probably go on a couple more days, but here's hoping that the Steelers just let it go. Let it go. Is that a song? Is that a Disney song? Let it go.
ABBA songs, ABBA, maybe.
Okay. Maybe one day we'll have a feature movie about Disney songs as we do about Elton John coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my moment of the week. It's unfortunately my moment of the week because there were a lot of moments this week, but bringing it all back. And I will say one quick thing. Rumor has it that Keller might get his first major league start on Memorial Day on a double, whatever the doubleheader is. It's either Monday or Sunday.
Cincinnati Monday. Yeah.
So
Monday.
He may get his first major league shot according to the rumor, which would be.
He starts in the first game. That's on ESPN Plus. Actually, I saw just today.
Oh, very good. Yeah. We look forward to that. So, Chris, your prediction of the week.
Well, growing up, guys, what was one of the best days in sports? It was the day that the Street and Smith guide came out. You know, you liked it. You went to the newsstand. You picked it up. You leafed through it.
Yep.
Dave, you sent me a little picture today from Street and Smith that just got me fired.
I know. Did you see it, Gare?
No.
And this will be a surprise to you. Go ahead, Chris. Explain it.
They have your Duquesne Dukes ranked number 23 in the country going into the season. So I'm going to jump on the Duquesne Duke bandwagon right now, and I'm going to say shoo shoo rah rah. And for our dear Billy Catfish, even though it's not basketball, right, I have to say Sayugo.
I love it. I love it. Oh, man. Well, Gary, I'm going to go next because you are going to be the feature on the end of the show here.
I am. Okay.
You know, the feature.
Okay.
I was looking at it, and Pitt was picked for fourth in the Coastal, and Penn State was picked for 20th. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Penn State will have a 6-6 record this year. Lost a lot of players. They lost the quarterback who was supposed to start. He transferred. And quite frankly, they looked bad last year, and I don't understand why people think they're somehow going to rebound. They look bad at the end of the year, and losing those players. Miles Sanders is gone. I'm going to say 6-6 this year, and I'm going to say Pitt ends up with an 8-4 season. I think the defense is looking real good. I think Kevin Whipple is an offensive coordinator, the former Steeler quarterbacks coach. Had a great run at UMass as head coach and offensive coordinator. He's going to make that offense better. And I think that's going to make – I don't know that they win the division at 8-4, but I think they show that they have a little bit of a future. And they're actually in the run for – in the final three for a couple four-star guys coming up. So this could be the year that it turns around. So I'm going to say Street and Smith is telling me 8-4 for the Steelers. And I'm going to be pumped up with the shoo-shoo, rah-rah, Fletch, because to finish 21st last year as an NEC team.
Right.
Somebody asked on the site, why would Towson be rated so far ahead of them? Because it's the difference sometimes between an Appalachian State and a Michigan. Being the CAA, which I believe Towson is in, and the NEC. The NEC is an Ivy League conference in comparison. But what Duquesne did last year to Towson ranks as one of the great upsets in FCS history.
Yes, it is.
And I think this team is potentially better. So could be a fun year on the Bluff, my friends. And now we switch it to Gary for.
Gary's taking us home.
He's going to give us a prediction.
We're on the predictions here. Okay.
Then he's gonna give us the Busher of could be the Busher of the year.
Whoa!
Not about the year, but it certainly bothered me lately.
Whoa. You made a statement at the beginning. You stick by it, my friend.
Okay. All right. Well, you guys will make the call if it's of the year, but I'm sufficiently annoyed. And I don't know, what do you always call me, Fletch? I'm an bitter guy. I'm kind of bitter about this one. So
this isn't a Tottenham Liverpool thing, is it?
No, not quite.
Okay.
No. I mean, I think my prediction is, and I think it kind of goes back to a little bit of the moment of the week. Mine are tied together.
Okay.
St. Louis Blues. I mean, hooray. I mean, I think first of all, that's a very passionate following.
Oh, absolutely.
You've been out to St. Louis. People love them, whether it's celebrities talk about them that go to California or have other successes.
Do you know who their most passionate follower is, Gary?
I probably do, but I probably can't come with it right now. So why don't you tell me, Dave?
Chris?
It's one Dan Russell of Duquesne fame.
Gave me a big text last night of the joy he felt finally seeing his dear, but he loved them when we were at Duquesne. He was a Mike Liut fan, and I called it the curse of Mike Liut, but they never made a final since then. It's over though.
Well, in 1981, when we were all out there, they had the best team in the Western Conference.
Yes, they did.
And the Penguins gave them a rough time, if I recall. I think maybe the year before, but they had the best team in the Western Conference. And they went out early. I think it was to Minnesota. But this year, nobody expected anything, and it's a pretty amazing story. It's kind of like that Pittsburgh story, but even better. A few years back when Pittsburgh won the Stanley Cup. I mean, I was not really impressed by Berube when he was here. He may be a player's coach and all that, but we saw here that he was pretty inflexible about line changes, and he never seemed to change his personnel around, and he made a lot of stupid comments in the press. But, boy, out in St. Louis, he's putting it together. These guys seem to be playing for him. I mean, some of these guys are finally healthy enough. Tarasenko, Pietrangelo. And I think, the kid goalie, got to love him when they ask him, are you nervous before the series? He goes, do I look nervous to you? I mean, you gotta love. They got some swagger, but they're not too cocky. They're a better team than people realize. It's a passionate fan base, and honestly, they pretty much demolished San Jose in that series. You take away a completely missed call, which it's time for the NHL. You're going to review offsides and all this other nonsense. Review every goal in the NHL.
Right.
Sorry, in the postseason, it's finally come to that. This replay has made these officials tentative, which is why nobody called that clear hand pass from Hurdle. If that wouldn't have been the case, they'd have wiped out a very good San Jose team, although banged up. So, honestly, the Eastern Conference teams have not done well with these long layoffs. Now, Boston's a lot more veteran team. You got Chara, you got Bergeron, you got Marchand, you got Rask even. It's a good veteran team, but they're going to be sitting for damn near 2 weeks by the time they start the postseason or the final series on Monday. And
what's the stat of the day, Gary? What the stat of the day is? 13 of the last 16 teams that have had an 11-day layoff or more have lost the final.
I didn't have that detail. That's what I fear here. I actually feel St. Louis is going to have the jump early. I think Binnington's seeing everything, playing extremely well. There's a lot of talk about fourth lines. There's really no fourth lines in the NHL anymore. There's lines that give you something. St. Louis's last line, and they're lunch pail guys, they're putting the puck in the net. Boston's are playing well, and they're bumping, and they bump Carolina all over the place, but they're not doing that. That could be the difference in the series if that continues. So my prediction is I have a feeling that the Blues may actually pull the upset here and win this series. I think it'll be a long series, but a lot of things are looking right here. They're coming in pretty healthy. They're really not banged up. Boston's a little banged up. Pasternak was banged up in this postseason, so is Chara now. And I think sitting that long has really not – look what happened. Islanders wipe out Pittsburgh. They get dominated by Carolina. Carolina, then gets dominated by Boston. So, I mean, Boston didn't have long layoffs in the first round against Toronto. So, I mean, it's a veteran team, but I have a feeling St. Louis may win this series and pull the upset. So, I think I'm going to bet my money on them. Long series.
All right. Now, put it up, Fletch. Put the sign up. Gary, go.
All right. I have one thing I've got to do here, and it's a prop, okay? Because I don't know if we want to do this. Maybe we'll get in trouble, but I'm going to take a chance. And if we do, and we get the attention from somebody this big, it would actually be good news. But I'm going to give you guys a prop here, okay? All right. You guys know what this is?
Oh.
This is a 4-ounce glove. So for certain bushes of the week, I think I'm going to say that if you continue to do the things that you're doing, this is what you're going to get right down the pipe.
Whoa.
All right.
Whoa.
Who is this Drake character, may I ask? Who is this character? Can you guys explain it to me?
He apparently is a singer. I have never heard of him other than in sporting events.
Okay.
Fletcher, you're a music man. Who is Drake?
Well, Drake is the guy that he is your George Costanza in that whenever he likes a team, bet the opposite because they stop every time Drake comes on the bandwagon.
Who is he?
He's a rapper. He's an impresario. You know, got a nice smile.
Is he big? Is he big?
I think Gary would beat his ass.
He looks like an average-sized guy to me.
I think Gary would take him. Gary, with his superior fight skills, would take him down. Probably, I'm going to say the guy will last 2 rounds before Gary's not going to carry him all that much longer. Then Gary's going to just put him down.
I'm certainly not espousing violence, and he's probably a lot younger man in far better shape than I am. But I got to tell you, the NBA needs to get control of this nonsense. Just like Spike Lee years ago, I am tired of this nonsense. Antetokounmpo's paid a lot of money. All of the Bucks are paid a lot of money. They're probably not paying one bit of attention to anything that this clown is running his mouth about by standing up during the play, walking down the sidelines and all this other stuff, touching the coach in the middle of a timeout.
Yeah.
Get the hell away from the benches and the live action. And honestly, I love TNT. I loved Ernie Johnson and Barkley and Kenny Smith and those guys. Stop putting this clown on the camera, okay? I'm tired of this, okay? This is a basketball game. This is professional sports. This is not a high school game where we're cheering for our kids or we're what they call it, trolling. Just shut up and stop showing this guy. What does this have to do? What does this have to do? On ESPN, they're calling it trolling because every time Tempo walks by or whatever, he's making some kind of comment. I don't care what your music is. I don't care how famous you are. They want to put the camera on you. That's fine. Not every 5 seconds. Get rid of this nonsense, okay? I'm sorry I'm not a millennial. I'm sorry that I think that there's an order to this. But honestly, there's a danger to it too. Standing near the court, in between when they're trying to talk, this guy's carping. No, NBA's got to get control of this. You buy a courtside seat, it does not entitle you to be part of the game.
Well, Gary,
it's a look at me, sell my album, sell whatever junk I'm producing. I don't care.
Episode, look at me, look at me, look at me.
I don't want to hear it anymore.
Well,
Pusher of the week, maybe you guys can make the decision. It's Pusher of the year.
He's up there.
I'd like to see the NBA
get a nomination.
Yeah,
NBA take that 4-ounce thing and say, knock it off, or your seats are going to be revoked. You're not
going to the cage. You're going to the cage.
Not part of the game.
Well,
Sorry.
I think we could all agree that we would support maybe Mom on the right being in that first row like that and your cup of coffee into that pose.
Yes, maybe.
Maybe? No, just me? Just me. Okay.
Gabby Stantillo, so yeah, I could see her. Yeah, I think she might be in that UFC pose.
I think Mom on the right could be maybe something that the Pirates are looking for to draw.
Well, she could have started tonight. They're down 3-0 in the first inning, so.
I mean, am I wrong, guys?
You're not wrong.
I am sick.
I agree with you
100% of this nonsense. I did not tune in the Eastern Conference Finals to hear a guy I have no idea. I'm not interested in music. I'm interested in basketball.
Yeah.
Okay? And I don't really care what his opinion. I don't care how much he loves Toronto. You're not part of the game. Stop putting a camera on this fool.
Here's what you do. You set a pick very close to him, and you throw the ball out of bounds, and someone goes diving for it. And, oh, sorry, man.
Now, I probably just gave additional, because we're going to have millions of viewers of this next week, I probably just gave additional fodder to this guy's continued activity.
You might have.
I also think some of those millions of viewers are going to say, you know what? I agree. I want to hear about the Raptors and the Bucks and why this is happening and how stellar Leonard has been. I don't want to hear about this guy, and I don't want to see this guy. Period.
It was ironic. Fletcher was saying that last night. Apparently at the Pirate game, they kept showing pictures of me with ice cream sundae dribbling down my face. I think I was trying to, get the attention of the Colorado batters with that, but I think I might have failed.
Somebody failed last night, and they're failing again tonight. Right now, I'll tell you that.
I guess the starter on the right is not is not doing well tonight.
But here's the sad thing: the series has been a surprise.
Yeah,
everybody thought the Bucks with their 60 wins would win this easy, and honestly, Antetokounmpo's looking awful frustrated with that lineup that they're lining up on that foul line. He can't get going.
And I would say I love Milwaukee. I love the story, but I would say that if you're looking player by player, Toronto is probably the more talented team.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's going to go a long way, but unfortunately we got all this nonsense. ESPN Plus, I'm sure Stephen A. Smith, another one of my favorites, will start ranting about this soon. He knows everything that's wrong with the Lakers and everything that's wrong with this guy. And I mean, all that aside, too much of this nonsense. Focus on the series, okay? Somebody who's watching basketball in May is a serious basketball fan or a serious sports fan. I don't really care whether this guy's from Toronto or he's from Timbuktu. Quiet. Camera somewhere else.
Dave, do you think that Gary could take Stephen A. Smith?
Oh, God. I think Gary takes him in 3 rounds maximum, and that's only because Gary takes a first round kind of feeling him out.
I think
when the Raiders executive,
he's a
the Raiders executive say something? Wasn't
let me see those 4-pound gloves a second, Gary.
I don't know if we're allowed to do this. We might get a copyright problem.
Put it on.
Okay.
Now show us.
Okay, all right. Maybe the more I think about it, we may have a copyright problem here.
Chuck and weave, Gary.
Yeah. This is going to be hurting the audio only podcast this week. Not that you're going to see this.
That's true, but they can hear the. But no, this is a for all UFC gloves, no matter your weight.
Turn it around.
4 ounces.
Turn it around.
All right, 4 ounces. Fingers loose.
Thumbing. He's thumbing in the eye, Fletch. He's thumbing in the eye. Yeah, that's going to happen.
Right. So, and that does happen, and that is a foul if you continue to do it. But
you don't care. You don't follow.
It's not only heartless, but you're dirty too, Gary.
You got to win the fight. You only got 3 rounds in 15 minutes. Okay? But, I mean, I love when the Raiders executive, or Carr himself, said, I love how this guy makes a bunch of comments about something, and he's never been in this locker room or these offices here in California once. I mean, he's the new ESPN, so we've got to deal with it. I mean, when he was here in Philadelphia, he was fairly well respected as a basketball writer, but he was a rabble-rouser. That's what they seem to want. Kellerman's become that too. I hate to say it. I guess it's the crowded dial. But, I mean, he'll pick up on this soon because it's a hot topic, and that's probably what they want him to do. But, I mean, I'm a little more disappointed with TNT because I thought they did a pretty good job with pro basketball, better than ESPN. Yeah. Their crew's better than Beadle and all those guys, Paul Pierce and all those guys. They like to inject comedy and everything. TNT did a little bit of that, Ernie Johnson and Barkley, but it came down to the basketball. But, boy, they're giving this such press, it's just driving me nuts.
Well, hopefully it'll end soon, my friend.
Yeah.
But,
Bucks need to win. We need the Bucks because I don't want a finals of this. Then we'll see him out in California, and he'll be dueling with somebody else, out there. So.
Absolutely. Well, before we end our show tonight, we're going to go around quickly. Who wins the European final? Let's start with you, Fletch.
I feel pressure to say Liverpool. I feel pressure.
You're getting pressure. You're getting pressure.
Put the finger down, Dave. Put the finger down.
I don't know where this has been. My friend Marilyn told me that on Facebook. Put the finger down because you don't know where it's been. Gary, who's going to win?
Yeah, definitely Liverpool.
Are we talking 3-4 goals, gentlemen?
Yes.
Are we talking 3 or 4 goals?
Yes. Perhaps
yes,
another.
Sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Oh, man.
June
All right.
1st?
June 1st.
Yeah.
June 1st. We'll do this again. Will we have another chance? Yes.
Yes,
We'll have
we
one more
will.
chance to predict this game, a final.
Oh, God, I got to start learning that damn song, don't I?
You do, because they're a heavy favorite in this one, my friend. So short of a New York Jet upset, you're going to be singing.
Oh, God.
I have to both learn the lyrics. I looked that up. So.
All right, gentlemen. Have a good evening.
All right, fellas.
You too, Dave. Chris, nice evening.